The phone buzzed on my kitchen counter, and I saw Mom's name light up the screen. My heart did that little flip it always does when she calls, half hope, half dread. I swiped to answer, expecting her usual chatter about Dad's golf game or my brother Ethan's latest sales win. But 5 seconds in, her words hit like a sucker punch. "Harper, you get why you're not coming to the Keys, right?" she said, her voice breezy, like she was asking if I wanted sugar in my coffee. "It's Ethan's big family getaway, and we just want it to be fun, high energy. Your quiet vibe might, well, throw things off." I froze, gripping my coffee mug so tight my knuckles went white, the warmth of the ceramic mocking the cold sinking into my chest. Me, Harper, 32, a loan officer at Wells Fargo in Atlanta, was being sidelined from our family's big Florida Keys bash because I'm an introvert? My own mother, picking my brother's spotlight over me. Again. And before we get back to the story, would you be kind enough to give this video a like? Every single like means a lot to me. It's the kind of encouragement that keeps me creating and bringing you even better stories tomorrow. I stood there in my tiny midtown apartment, the afternoon sun slanting through the blinds, casting stripes across the hardwood floor. My living room smelled faintly of the lavender candle I'd lit to unwind after a long shift, but now it felt suffocating. "Throw things off how?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, though it wobbled like a wave about to crash. Mom sighed, that exasperated sound she makes when I'm not getting it. "Ethan's got 20 people coming. Relatives, his buddies, a whole crew. It's beach volleyball, boat trips, sunset barbecues. You're so reserved, Harper. We don't want you feeling out of place, and honestly, it could dampen the group's vibe." Her words sliced clean through me. It wasn't about logistics or space. It was me, my personality, my quiet way of moving through the world. They didn't want Harper, the bookworm who'd rather sip coffee and people watch than spike a volleyball. I sank onto my couch, the worn cushions creaking under me, and stared at the coffee table where my laptop sat, still open from last night's budget spreadsheet. I'm good at my job, crunching numbers, helping folks secure mortgages, climbing the ladder one steady step at a time. But in my family, I've always been the shadow to Ethan's son. He's 28, a tech sales hotshot in Orlando, all charm and big gestures, the kind of guy who lights up a room and keeps it lit. Mom and Dad eat it up, always have. At Thanksgiving, it's "Ethan closed $1 million deal," while my promotion to senior loan officer gets a quick "That's nice, hun," before they pivot back to him. This trip, though, this was next level. A $5,000, their beach house rental, boat tours, catered dinners, the works. Everyone invited except me. "Does Ethan know I'm out?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, fingers tracing the mug's handle. Mom paused, just a beat too long. "We discussed it as a family. Your dad agrees it's for the best. And sweetie, this trip's a splurge. We can't risk it not being perfect." $5,000, more than I'd saved in 3 years of skipping takeout and cutting corners. And I was the risk? I mumbled a weak, "Okay," and hung up, the silence in my apartment deafening. My mind flashed back to high school, senior year, when I wasn't picked for the homecoming court float because Ethan said I'd look awkward in the photos. I was 17, standing in the school parking lot, watching him wave from the float with his perfect grin while I biked home alone, the wind stinging my eyes. That feeling, being erased, made invisible, crashed over me again, a wave I couldn't outrun. I set the mug down with a clink, my hands shaking. I wasn't just hurt, I was done. Done letting them decide my place. I opened my laptop, pulled up my banking app, $3,200 in savings, not much, but mine, earned through late nights at the bank, approving loans, balancing ledgers. A crazy idea sparked, like a match in the dark. Miami. I'd always dreamed of it, those vibrant beaches, the Art Deco buzz, the pulse of a city that screamed, "Live a little." I'd scrolled travel sites on lunch breaks, picturing myself there, but always pushed it off. Too expensive, too impractical for practical Harper. But now it felt like the only move. If they didn't want me in their sun-soaked family portrait, I'd paint my own. I started searching. Hotels, flights, something to make that Memorial Day weekend mine. My heart raced, half from excitement, half from fear. Was this nuts? Throwing down my savings to spite them? No, not spite, survival. I imagined waves crashing on South Beach, me riding them, not drowning under their judgment. Another memory hit. Middle school, when I saved up babysitting money for a new backpack, only for Mom to buy Ethan a $200 one because he needs to look sharp for soccer. I'd cried in my room, feeling small, but now that wave of resentment pushed me forward. I clicked on a surf school's site, Wave Riders, Miami. Beginner lessons, sunrise sessions. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Could I really do this? Break free from the role they'd boxed me into? The question hung in the air, heavy as the humid Atlanta afternoon, daring me to find out. I sat on my couch, the laptop still glowing with the Wave Rider Surf School website. My coffee gone cold on the table. The sting of Mom's call lingered, her words about my quiet vibe throwing things off, looping in my head like a bad song. I wasn't just mad, I was unmoored, like a wave cut loose from the shore, desperate to crash somewhere but stuck, held back. My eyes drifted to a framed photo on the shelf. Me and Ethan, maybe 7 and 5, grinning on Daytona Beach, our hands caked with wet sand from building lopsided castles. Back then, we were a team, giggling over who could stack the tallest tower before the tide rolled in. But that was before the family script got written, before Ethan became the golden boy, and I faded into the background like a forgotten ripple. The memory pulled me under, and I let it. I was 12, sitting at the kitchen table in our Tampa house, proudly showing Mom my report card. Straight A's, my ticket to feeling seen. She'd nodded, distracted, then turned to Ethan, who'd just scored a goal in soccer. "That's my star," she'd said, ruffling his hair. I'd clutched my report card, the paper crinkling under my fingers, waiting for her to circle back to me. She didn't. That was the first time I felt it, the weight of being invisible, like a wave that never reaches the beach. By high school, it was a pattern. Ethan got a shiny new Jeep for his 16th birthday, all sleek black and chrome, while I got a second-hand Schwinn bike, the paint chipped, with a "You're so practical, Harper," from Dad. I'd pedaled to school, the humid Florida air sticking to my skin, watching Ethan cruise past with his friends, music blaring. I told myself it didn't matter, that I was fine grinding for what I wanted. But deep down, it hurt like hell. College was worse. I scraped through Georgia State, juggling 2 part-time jobs, barista shifts, and tutoring, to cover what my scholarships didn't. My dorm room smelled of instant noodles and late-night coffee. My desk littered with sticky notes and loan applications. Meanwhile, Ethan sailed through UCF, tuition fully funded by Mom and Dad's investment in his potential. They'd flown up for his freshman homecoming game, cheering from the stands, while I got a text. "Busy weekend, hun. Next time." I'd sat in my dorm, staring at that message, the hum of the mini-fridge filling the silence, wondering why my hustle didn't count the same. I pushed through, graduated with honors, landed my bank job. Ethan? He partied, still got a cushy tech sales gig, and a condo down payment from our parents. My first apartment was a rented shoebox, every cent from my own paycheck. The worst cut came a year ago. Ethan hit a rough patch, missed a big sales quota, racked up credit card debt. I'd stayed late at the bank, running numbers to help him refinance, even dipping into my savings to cover a $500 bill he couldn't pay. It took weeks of overtime to recover that money. My fridge bare, except for yogurt and bread. When I mentioned it at Christmas, expecting a thank you, Ethan just shrugged. "Appreciate it, sis." But you're good with numbers, right? Mom chimed in. He's got so much on his plate. I'd bitten my tongue, the holiday lights blurring through tears I wouldn't let fall. That moment replayed now, sitting on my couch, the laptop's glow harsh against the dim room. I'd given and gotten nothing but a pat on the head for being the reliable one. My phone pinged, snapping me out of the spiral. The family group chat. Mom, Dad, aunts, uncles, cousins, Ethan's buddies, lit up with a message from Ethan. Keys trip invite list, it read, followed by a PDF. I opened it, my heart thudding. Names, dates, logistics for the Memorial Day getaway. Aunts from Chicago, cousins from Miami, even Ethan's old frat brothers. 20 people, just like Mom said. I scrolled, searching for my name, knowing deep down it wouldn't be there. It wasn't. The exclusion wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate, a digital middle finger confirming I didn't belong. I tossed the phone onto the cushion, my breath shaky. Was I really that dispensable? The question clawed at me, sharp and raw. Did I deserve this? For being quieter? For not shining like Ethan? No. Hell no. That thought hit like a breaker crashing over rocks. I wasn't the problem. They were. The wave inside me, the one they'd tried to hold back my whole life, was done being tamed. I grabbed my laptop again, the Miami tab still open. Wave Rider's site promised sunrise sessions, turquoise water, a chance to ride something bigger than myself. I pictured it, me, on a board, cutting through the ocean, not just surviving, but thriving. My savings, 3,200, flashed in my mind. Enough to make this real, enough to say, you don't get to define me. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, the cursor blinking like a challenge. This wasn't just about a trip. It was about breaking free, about catching my own wave. But could I really pull it off, or would I crash before I even started? My laptop screen glowed with the Wave Rider's website, the cursor still blinking over the Book Now button, daring me to commit. The family group chat's invite list, or rather, my absence from it, sat heavy in my chest, like a wave trapped in a bottle, ready to burst. I'd spent years swallowing that feeling, letting Ethan's spotlight drown me out. But now, staring at the promise of Miami's turquoise waves, I felt something shift. I wasn't just going to sit this one out on my Atlanta couch, binging Netflix while they partied in the Keys. No, this was my chance to ride my own wave, to stop being the invisible sister. But the doubt lingered, sharp as the salty tang of those childhood beach days. Was I crazy to blow my savings on this? I closed my eyes, picturing the ocean, and dialed Riley. Harper, what's up? Riley's voice crackled through my phone, warm but edged with the hustle of her HR job in Charlotte. I paced my small living room, the hardwood creaking under my bare feet, the faint lavender scent from last night's candle still hanging in the air. They kicked me out of the family trip, I blurted, the words spilling faster than I meant. Ethan's Big Keys getaway, 20 people, beach house, the works. Mom says I'd throw off the vibe because I'm too quiet. Silence on her end, then a sharp inhale. Are you freaking kidding me? Your own brother? That's some next-level BS. I laughed, bitter, clutching the phone tighter. Yeah, and they sent a whole invite list. Everyone but me. I'm done, Riley. Done being their afterthought. I sank onto the couch, the cushions sagging under me, and told her my half-baked plan. Miami, solo, Memorial Day weekend. Surf lessons, South Beach. A middle finger to their rejection. Riley let out a low whistle. Whoa, Harper, that's bold. But like $2,000 bold. You've been saving for a car. Her practicality stung, mirroring my own doubts. I glanced at my laptop, the Wave Riders page still open, promising sunrise sessions with a guy named Marco. I know, I said, my voice wavering. But I can't keep shrinking for them. I need this. Something just for me. Riley paused, then her tone softened. Okay, I hear you, but are you sure? That's a big chunk of cash. Her pushback made my stomach twist. Was I being reckless, chasing a fantasy to prove a point? I stood, pacing again, the Atlanta skyline peeking through my blinds, all twinkling lights and possibility. It's not just the money, I said. It's about not letting them define me anymore. I keep seeing waves, Riley, like the ones we used to chase as kids, free, unstoppable. I want that. She laughed, a spark of excitement breaking through. Damn, girl, you're getting poetic. All right, tell me the plan. What's in Miami? I grinned, tension easing, and pulled up my laptop. There's this surf school, wave riders, beginner lessons, sunrise vibes. I'm emailing the instructor, Marco, to check availability. I typed as I spoke, my fingers flying, drafting a quick message. Hi, Marco. I'm Harper, 32, total newbie. Got spots for Memorial Day weekend? I hit send, heart pounding like I just jumped off a cliff. While waiting for a reply, I dug into logistics. Flights from Atlanta to Miami. 400 round trip if I booked soon. Hotel on Collins Avenue, a cute Art Deco spot near the beach, $800 for 4 nights. Surf package with wave riders, $500, including board rental and 2 sunrise sessions. Meals, maybe some street food tours, $300. Total hit around $2,000, gutting my $3,200 savings. I stared at the numbers, my practical banker brain screaming to back off. What if I needed that money for an emergency? What if this was just petty revenge and I'd regret it? The wave inside me faltered, trapped again, like it was crashing against a wall of self-doubt. My phone pinged. Marco's reply. Hey, Harper. Stoked you're interested. Got spots for Memorial Day. Sunrise sessions are magic. Perfect for finding your own wave. $500 locks you in. You game? His words, casual but electric, lit a spark. Finding my own wave. That's what this was about. I read the email aloud to Riley, who was still on the line. Okay, that's cool as hell, she said. But you're really doing this alone? I hesitated, picturing myself on South Beach. No family, no safety net. Maybe, I said, voice small. Then Riley dropped a bombshell. Screw it, I'm coming with you. I've got PTO, and I'm not letting you have all the fun. We'll make it epic. My jaw dropped. Riley, you don't have to. Nope, I'm in. She cut me off, her voice all in. This isn't just your rebellion. It's ours. Let's make waves together. I laughed. A real one this time. The kind that loosens the knot in your chest. With Riley on board, it wasn't just a solo escape anymore. It was a mission, a declaration. I started a new tab, searching for double rooms, my fingers steadier now. But as I clicked through options, a nagging thought crept in. What if I was setting myself up to crash, burning cash and hope on a whim? The wave inside me surged, daring me to keep going, but could I really ride it without wiping out? The cursor on my laptop blinked one last time as I confirmed the bookings, flights, hotel, surf lessons with wave riders, all locked in for Memorial Day weekend. Riley's voice still echoed in my head, her "let's make waves together," turning my solo rebellion into something bigger, something shared. I closed the laptop, my heart racing with a mix of thrill and terror, like standing at the edge of a wave about to break. Could I really ride this, or was I setting myself up to wipe out? My Atlanta apartment felt too small for the decision I'd just made, the faint lavender candle scent now mingling with the nervous sweat on my palms. 3 weeks later, Riley and I stepped off the plane in Miami, the humid air hitting us like a warm embrace, the city's pulse already pulling us in. We touched down Friday morning, the sky a brilliant blue, palm trees swaying against pastel buildings that screamed South Beach. Our hotel, a quirky Art Deco spot on Collins Avenue, was steps from the ocean, its neon sign buzzing faintly as we checked in. The lobby smelled of coconut sunscreen and fresh paint, with tiled floors that echoed under our sneakers. Riley dropped her duffel bag, grinning. "This is it, Harper. No family drama, just us and the waves." I nodded, but my stomach churned. Back in the Keys, my family was probably unpacking at Ethan's rented beach house, firing up the grill, not sparing a thought for me. I pushed it down, slinging my backpack over my shoulder. "Let's do this," I said, forcing a smile. We napped off the red-eye flight, then headed to Wave Riders by late afternoon. The beach stretched out before us, golden sand warm underfoot, the Atlantic sparkling like it was daring me to dive in. Marco, our instructor, was waiting by a stack of surfboards, his tan skin and easy grin making him look like he'd been born on the water. "Harper, Riley, right? Stoked you're here," he said, shaking our hands. His voice had that laid-back surfer drawl, but his eyes were sharp, sizing us up. "First-timers? No worries. We'll start on the sand, get the feel, then hit the waves at dawn tomorrow." He handed me a soft-top board, its weight heavier than I expected, and walked us through pop-ups, knees bent, hands planted, springing to a stand. My first tries were clumsy, sand sticking to my shins, but Marco's "keep it loose, find your flow" kept me going. That evening, over Cubanos from a food truck on Ocean Drive, Riley and I met the rest of our surf class, a mix of tourists, but the ones who caught my eye were 3 women, all in their 50s, laughing over plastic cups of iced tea. Lisa, the tallest, with silver-streaked hair and a quick wit, waved us over. "You two look like you're running from something," she teased, her southern accent thick. I laughed, surprised at how easy it felt to open up. "Kinda," I admitted, picking at my sandwich. "Family trip in the Keys, but I didn't make the cut. Too quiet," they said. Lisa's eyes softened. "Honey, I know that tune. My sister planned a big family reunion last year. Didn't invite me, 'cause I'm too serious. Hurt like hell." She leaned in, her voice low. "So I went skydiving in Georgia. Best damn thing I ever did." The other women nodded, sharing their own stories. Missed weddings, skipped holidays, all because they didn't fit the family mold. Their words lit something in me, like a wave building momentum. I wasn't alone. Saturday, 4 a.m., we were back on the beach, the sky still inky with stars fading to pink. Marco ran us through drills, his voice cutting through the pre-dawn chill. "Feel the board, trust your body," he called as we waded into the cool Atlantic, the water lapping at my thighs. My first attempts were a disaster, wiping out hard, salt water burning my nose, the board slipping from my grip. Riley, a natural, caught a small wave, whooping as she glided. I gritted my teeth, frustration bubbling. "You got this, Harper," Marco said, paddling over. "It's not about forcing it. Let the wave carry you." I tried again, and on my 6th go, something clicked. I popped up, shaky but standing, the board slicing through a small swell. The rush was electric, like I'd broken through a wall, the ocean holding me up. Riley cheered from shore, snapping pics with her phone. We surfed for 2 hours, the sunrise painting the water gold. Lisa and the other women joined us, their laughter mixing with the crash of waves. Lisa caught a wave, her arms outstretched, and shouted, "This is what they don't get to take!" Her words hit me hard, echoing my own fight. Between sets, we swapped stories on the sand, the salt drying on my skin. Lisa's tale of skydiving stuck with me, how she'd posted a video online, how it shifted something in her, made her feel seen. "You gotta share this, Harper," she said, nodding at Riley's phone, now full of shots of me surfing. "Show 'em what you're made of." I brushed it off, but the idea took root, a seed of something bold. By 8 a.m., we wrapped. My muscles aching, but my heart full. Back at the hotel, Riley scrolled through her photos. Me on the board, hair wild, the sunrise glowing behind me. "These are fire," she said, flopping onto the bed. "You look alive out there." I stared at the images, barely recognizing myself. Not the quiet sister, not the reliable banker, just Harper, riding a wave, free. The feeling was new, raw, like the ocean had washed away years of being sidelined. But as I toweled off, my phone buzzed. Mom, texting about the keys. "Ethan's grilling tonight. Wish you could see it." No mention of my absence, just their perfect party. The wave inside me surged again, stronger now, but a question lingered. Could I really share this moment with the world, or would it just be shouting into the void? If Harper's bold move speaks to you, hit like and subscribe for more. Back at the hotel, I stood under the shower, letting the hot water rinse the salt from my skin. The memory of that sunrise surf session still buzzing in my veins. Riley sprawled on the bed, scrolling through her phone, her voice cutting through the steam. "Harper, these pics are straight up magic," she said, holding up a shot of me on the board, the Atlantic glowing gold behind me, my hair a wild tangle. I wrapped a towel around myself, peering over her shoulder. The image didn't look like the Harper I knew, the quiet loan officer, the sidelined sister. This was someone alive, riding a wave, untethered. Lisa's words from the beach echoed. "Show 'em what you're made of." My heart thumped. Share it? Put myself out there? The idea felt like stepping into a spotlight I'd spent years avoiding. Back in our Art Deco room, the hum of the AC mixed with the distant pulse of South Beach nightlife. I sat on the edge of the bed, Riley's phone in my hands, flipping through the photos. One stood out, me mid-wave, board-slicing foam, the sunrise painting the sky pink and orange. It was perfect, not just the shot, but what it meant. No family, no approval, just me claiming my moment. "You gotta post this," Riley urged, tossing me a bottle of water from the mini-fridge. "Lisa's right. Let the world see you." I chewed my lip, doubt creeping in like a rogue wave. What if it looked petty, like I was throwing shade at Ethan's Big Keys trip? What if nobody cared? "What's the worst that could happen?" Riley pressed, reading my hesitation. "It flops? So what? You're still the badass who surfed Miami." Her grin was infectious, and I laughed, the knot in my chest loosening. I opened Instagram, my account a quiet corner of the internet. Mostly coffee shop snaps and work selfies, nothing bold. My fingers hovered over the post button, the caption forming in my head. "No invite required to catch your own wave." It was pointed, sure, but honest. A nod to the family who'd left me out, a declaration I didn't need their permission to shine. I uploaded the photo, hit post, and shut my phone off, my pulse racing like I'd just caught another wave. It was Monday evening, 7 p.m. in Miami, 1 p.m. in the Keys, where Ethan's trip had wrapped 2 days ago. They'd be home, posting their own curated pics of beach volleyball and sunset toasts, oblivious to my move. Riley and I headed to a sidewalk cafe, splitting a plate of empanadas, the night air thick with salt and neon. I tried not to check my phone, but the urge was an itch I couldn't scratch. 2 hours later, back at the hotel, I caved. My notifications were a flood. 1,500 likes and climbing, comments piling up. "This is everything! Where's that beach? Girl, you're an inspiration!" Strangers, old co-workers, even a high school friend I hadn't talked to in years. My jaw dropped. Riley peeked over, her eyes wide. "Holy crap, Harper, you're going viral!" The post had been shared by a women's travel page, then a surf community, each repost adding fuel. Women commented their own stories. "My family ditched me for a reunion, went hiking instead. Skipped my sister's party, found my peace." It was like I'd tapped into a current, a whole ocean of people who'd felt invisible too. My chest swelled, not just with pride, but connection. This wasn't just my wave anymore. It was theirs. Then my phone rang, shattering the high. "Mom," I let it go to voicemail, my hands shaky as I sipped water, the plastic bottle crinkling. Riley raised an eyebrow. "You gonna answer?" I shook my head. "Not yet." The voicemail notification blinked, and I braced myself, hitting play on speaker. Mom's voice was sharp, no trace of her usual warmth. "Harper, what is this Instagram nonsense? Everyone's sending me your post, asking why you're in Miami instead of with us. You're making Ethan's trip look bad." I stared at the phone, the words landing like a slap. Making Ethan look bad? I wasn't even in the Keys. I'd posted after their precious getaway, not during. Riley scoffed, tossing her hair. "She's mad you're stealing their thunder? Typical." I paced the room, the tiled floor cool under my bare feet, my mind spinning. Was this petty? Had I gone too far, turning their snub into my spotlight? The wave I'd ridden that morning felt distant now, replaced by a churn of guilt and defiance. "You're not wrong," Riley said, her voice firm. "You didn't crash their party. You built your own. That post? It's you, Harper. It's real." Her words steadied me, like a hand on my board, but doubt lingered. I glanced at my phone again. 4,000 likes now. Shares hitting travel blogs. Comments from women saying I'd inspired them to book their own trips. It was bigger than me, bigger than Ethan's barbecue. But Mom's voicemail burned, and a new notification popped up. Another missed call from her. Another message waiting. What was she going to say next? Would Ethan chime in? Or would they all just freeze me out again? I sat on the edge of the hotel bed in Miami, the AC humming softly. Mom's second voicemail blinking on my phone like a storm warning. Her first message, accusing me of making Ethan's Keys trip look bad, still burned. And Riley's fierce, "You're not wrong," was the only thing keeping me afloat. My Instagram post, that sunrise surf shot captioned, "No invite required to catch your own wave," had exploded to 4,000 likes, shared by women who'd been sidelined like me. The connection felt electric, but Mom's words and my own nagging doubt, was I petty? Churned like an undertow. I couldn't bring myself to listen to her latest voicemail. Not yet. The South Beach nightlife pulsed outside, but my phone lit up again, this time with Ethan's name. My stomach dropped. I hadn't spoken to him since the trip, since he'd been the golden boy who didn't need his quiet sister tagging along. I answered, my voice tight. "Hey, Ethan?" His reply came fast, sharp, like he'd been holding it in. "What the hell, Harper? Your Instagram stunt's ruining my trip. My post from the Keys got 150 likes. 150! Yours is everywhere, making me look like a jerk." I stood, pacing the tiled floor, the faint salt on my skin from this morning's surf session prickling. "Ruining your trip?" I shot back. "I wasn't even there, Ethan. I posted after your precious getaway was over. I didn't make people share my story. You did that by leaving me out." My words were a wave crashing, years of being sidelined pouring out. He scoffed, his voice dripping with that familiar charm now turned venomous. "Come on, you're blowing this up to play victim. You know you don't fit with our vibe." I stopped pacing, gripping the phone so hard my knuckles ached. Play victim? He was gaslighting me, twisting this into my fault, like I'd orchestrated the internet's reaction. "Don't do that," I said, my voice low, steady. "I went to Miami because you all decided I wasn't worth inviting. I didn't plan for my post to blow up. I just lived my life. You don't get to guilt me for that." The room felt smaller, the neon glow from Ocean Drive seeping through the blinds, casting stripes across the bed. Ethan went quiet, then his tone shifted, colder. "Fine. Keep it up. Maybe I'll post my side online. Let people know how you're milking this for attention." The threat landed like a rogue wave, but he didn't elaborate, just hung up, leaving a hollow buzz in my ear. I sank onto the bed, the springs creaking, my heart pounding. Riley looked up from her phone, where she'd been scrolling my post's comments, her eyes wide. Was that Ethan? What's his deal? I recapped the call, my voice shaking but resolute. He thinks I'm sabotaging him, says he might go public to set the record straight. Riley snorted, tossing her hair. Let him try. His 150 likes versus your 4,000? Good luck. She grinned, but I couldn't shake the weight. I felt vindicated. My post had struck a chord, proved I wasn't invisible, but it was hollow too. The wave I'd caught in Miami, the freedom of riding that sunrise swell, now carried a lonely edge. I'd stood up for myself, but at what cost? My family's silence stretched ahead, a vast ocean with no shore in sight. Riley slid over, handing me a water bottle from the mini fridge, its plastic cool against my palm. You're not the bad guy here, she said, her voice firm. You didn't crash their party, you built your own. That post? It's not just about you anymore. Look at these comments. She tilted her phone, showing messages from women. Your wave gave me courage to book my first solo trip. Family left me out, but I'm done waiting. I read them, my throat tight. The wave wasn't just mine, it was theirs too. Riley's words steadied me like a hand on my board, but Ethan's threat lingered. Would he really post something, try to spin this against me? I stared at my phone, Mom's unheard voicemail still blinking. The tide was pulling me forward, but the undertow of family drama was stronger than ever. What would they do next, and could I keep riding this wave without crashing? I stood in my Atlanta apartment, the hardwood cool under my feet, staring at Mom's second voicemail blinking on my phone like a warning light. Ethan's call from yesterday still stung. His accusation that I'd sabotaged his Keys trip with my viral Instagram post echoed in my head, mingling with Riley's fierce, "You're not wrong." The post, that sunrise shot of me surfing in Miami with the caption, "No invite required to catch your own wave," had hit 4,000 likes before I boarded my flight home Tuesday night. I hadn't checked it since, too rattled by Mom's anger and my own gnawing doubt. Was I petty for sharing my moment? Or was this just me finally breaking free? I took a deep breath, the faint scent of last night's takeout lingering in the air, and opened Instagram. My jaw dropped. 35,000 likes, the number climbing as I watched, my phone buzzing with notifications like it was alive. A lifestyle site with millions of followers had reposted my photo, their caption screaming, "Solo surf in Miami, ditching family drama for waves." Comments flooded in, hundreds of women sharing stories of being sidelined, their words like ripples joining my own wave. My brother left me out of his wedding, booked a solo cruise. Family reunion? Nope. I went camping. I scrolled, heart pounding, until an email notification popped up. Jenna, travel and leisure. The subject read. I opened it, hands shaky. Loved your Miami post, she wrote. We're featuring solo travel stories. Want to interview you for a spread? Call tomorrow? I froze, the irony hitting like a breaker. Travel and Leisure had reached out to Ethan months ago about his Keys trip, considering a feature on Luxe family getaways. Now they wanted me, the sister they'd written off as too quiet. I called Riley, my voice tripping over itself as I read her the email. Are you kidding? She shouted, her excitement crackling through the phone. You're stealing their spotlight and it's glorious. I laughed, but the high was cut short by another call. Mom, again. I let it ring, my stomach twisting. Riley caught my hesitation. Don't let her dim this, Harper. This is your wave. I nodded, though she couldn't see me, and played the voicemail. Mom's voice was softer now, pleading. Harper, please, this Instagram thing is out of control. Everyone's talking about your post, not Ethan's trip. He worked so hard for it. Can you just take it down? For him? My blood boiled. take it down? Erase the moment I'd finally felt alive because it bruised Ethan's ego? No way, I muttered to the empty room, my reflection in the window looking fiercer than I felt. I paced, the Atlanta skyline twinkling beyond my blinds, and thought of Lisa from the surf class in Miami. Her story of skydiving after being excluded had stuck with me, her words about sharing it online sparking my post. On a whim, I checked my inbox again. There it was, a message from Lisa. "Saw your post, Harper," she wrote. "Went viral, huh? I got left out of my sister's 50th last month, so I hiked the Smokies and posted it. Your wave got me moving. Keep shining." Her words hit like a warm tide, washing away my doubt. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about every woman who'd been pushed aside, finding their own way to shine. The wave motif I'd clung to in Miami, the idea of breaking free, wasn't just personal now. It was a community, a current connecting us all. I sat on my couch, the same one where I'd learned I wasn't invited to the Keys, and let it sink in. My post wasn't petty, it was powerful. It had flipped the script, not just on Ethan's trip, but on years of being invisible. Travel and Leisure wanted my story, not his carefully curated barbecue. The irony was delicious, but it came with a sting. Mom's plea echoed. "For Ethan. Always for Ethan." I typed a reply to Jenna, confirming the interview, my fingers steady now. "I'm in," I wrote. "Let's talk tomorrow." But as I hit send, my phone buzzed again. Another notification. This one a direct message from a travel brand, hinting at a sponsorship. The wave was growing, carrying me further than I'd ever imagined. But with Mom's voice still ringing and Ethan's silence looming, I couldn't shake the feeling. How much bigger would this get? And what would my family do when it did? The buzz of my phone didn't let up. Notifications piling on from the viral Instagram post. 35,000 likes and counting. A Travel and Leisure interview locked in. Even a travel brand sliding into my DMs with talk of sponsorships. I stood in my Atlanta apartment, the skyline twinkling beyond the blinds. Lisa's email about hiking the Smokies still open on my laptop, her words fueling the fire inside me. My wave wasn't just mine anymore. It was a tide lifting others, a community of women who'd been sidelined like me. But Mom's pleading voicemail, begging me to take down the post for Ethan's sake, hung heavy, a dark current pulling at my resolve. I'd refused to back down, but the high of going viral was tinged with a familiar ache. Then my phone lit up again. Dad, texting. "Coffee tomorrow? Just you and me. Near your place, 10 a.m. My heart skipped. Dad rarely reached out. Was this an olive branch or another attempt to dim my light? Saturday morning, I walked into a cozy coffee shop 2 blocks from my apartment, the air thick with the smell of roasted beans and fresh pastries. Dad was already there, sitting in a corner booth, his gray hair catching the sunlight through the window. He looked tired, his usual golf course tan faded, his hands wrapped around a black coffee. "Harper," he said, standing for a quick hug, his voice softer than I expected. I slid into the booth, clutching my latte, the foam swirling like the waves I'd ridden in Miami. "Thanks for coming," he started, his eyes avoiding mine. "This whole thing, it's gotten out of hand." My stomach tightened. "You mean my post?" I asked, keeping my tone even, though my fingers gripped the mug harder. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry about the Keys trip, okay? We should have invited you, but Ethan worked hard on it. And now your Instagram thing. Everyone's talking about you, not him. It's crushing him." The apology landed, but it was half-baked, like a wave that fizzles before it hits the shore. I leaned back, the booth's vinyl creaking. "Dad, it's not just the trip. It's my whole life. Ethan gets the Jeep, the college fund, the spotlight. I get a bike, loans, and stay practical, Harper. I'm done being invisible." My voice shook, but I held his gaze, the coffee shop's chatter fading around us. Dad's face tightened, his jaw working like he was chewing on his words. "You're not invisible, Harper." But Ethan's... He's sensitive. He needs the win right now. You're strong. You always have been. Can't you let this one go? I stared at him, the latte turning bitter in my mouth. Strong. The word they always used to dismiss me, like my resilience was an excuse to keep me in the shadows. "Let it go?" I said, my voice low but sharp. "You mean take down my post? Shrink myself again so Ethan can shine? No, Dad, I'm not doing that anymore." The words felt like standing on a surfboard, wobbly but upright, the wave carrying me forward. He leaned forward, his voice dropping. "We're family, Harper. We don't air dirty laundry like this." Dirty laundry? My post wasn't a tantrum. It was me, finally free, riding a wave I'd earned. I set my mug down with a clink, the sound cutting through the tension. Family includes me, Dad, or it's supposed to. You all chose Ethan over me again. I'm not apologizing for living my life. His eyes flickered with something. Regret, maybe, but he didn't budge. Just think about meeting us, all of us, to talk this out. Your mom, Ethan, me. We can fix this. Fix this. Like I was the one who'd broken it. I stood, my chair scraping the floor. "I'll think about it," I said, but my voice was cold, the wave inside me crashing hard, alone but steady. I walked out, the morning air sharp against my skin, my heart a mix of freedom and loneliness. Back in my apartment, I flopped onto the couch, the same spot where I'd learned I wasn't invited to the Keys. The wave motif that had carried me through Miami felt different now. Not just freedom, but standing tall, even if it meant standing alone. My phone pinged, pulling me from the spiral. An email from a literary agent named Sarah. "Harper, your travel and leisure feature is generating buzz," she wrote. "Your story screams book potential. Solo travel, empowerment, breaking free. Interested in a call?" My breath caught. A book? The wave was growing, pulling me towards something bigger. But Dad's offer hung in the air. Meet the family, try to mend things. Could I face them without losing myself? Or was this new path about to change everything? I left the coffee shop with Dad's words ringing in my ears. His half-hearted apology, his plea to meet the family and fix this. The Atlanta morning air bit at my skin as I walked home, the skyline a blur through the sting in my eyes. A book deal? Sarah's email about turning my story into something bigger sat unanswered on my phone, a lifeline I wasn't sure I deserved. The wave I'd ridden in Miami, the one that carried me from invisible sister to viral sensation, felt both empowering and isolating. Standing up to Dad had been like catching a perfect swell. But now, alone in my apartment, the silence felt heavy, like the ocean after a storm. I flopped onto my couch, the familiar creak of the cushions grounding me, and opened Sarah's email again. Your story screams book potential. Solo travel, empowerment, breaking free. My fingers hovered over the reply button, heart pounding with possibility and fear. I typed back, "Let's talk," and hit send before I could overthink it. Sarah called within the hour, her voice crisp and professional over the phone. "Harper, your Instagram post, the travel and leisure buzz, it's a goldmine. Women are eating up this narrative of reclaiming your space after being sidelined. We're thinking a memoir, maybe Uninvited Waves, about turning exclusion into empowerment. Advance could be 6 figures if we pitch it right." 6 figures. I nearly dropped the phone, the number bigger than my annual salary at the bank. I paced my living room, the hardwood cool under my bare feet, the faint lavender scent from last week's candle lingering. This wasn't just a post anymore, it was a movement, a wave spreading beyond me. But the doubt crashed in. Was I ready to lay my family's flaws bare for the world? Was this too far? Too public? The question followed me to bed, my mind replaying Miami. The rush of the waves, Lisa's story of skydiving, the women in my comments sharing their own victories. I'd gone from invisible to having a voice, and now that voice could fill pages, maybe change lives. The wave motif that started as my escape was now about impact, about carrying others along. But as I drifted to sleep, my phone lit up with a call from Mom. I let it go to voicemail, my stomach twisting. When I played it back, her voice was tight, almost panicked. "Harper, I heard about this book thing. You can't do this. It'll make us look terrible. Ethan's already struggling because of your post. Please, think about your family." I stared at the ceiling, the words cutting deep. Make them look terrible? They'd excluded me, not the other way around. "I'm telling my truth," I whispered to the dark, my voice firm, but my heart heavy. The next morning, an email from Lisa, the silver-haired woman from surf class, popped up. "Harper, your story's everywhere," she wrote. "Your post pushed me to share my Smokies hike online, and now I'm planning a solo trip to Costa Rica. Don't let anyone stop you. Your wave's lifting us all." Her words were like a lifeboat, pulling me from the undertow of guilt. I forwarded it to Sarah, adding, "I'm all in for the book." But as I hit send, a text from Ethan buzzed in. "A book? Really? Profiting off our family drama? Low blow, sis." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over a reply, but I couldn't find the words. He didn't get it. Never had. This wasn't about profit. It was about survival, about claiming the space they'd denied me. I set the phone down, unanswered, the silence louder than his accusation. Sarah and I met via Zoom that afternoon, her enthusiasm infectious as we brainstormed. "We'll pitch it as empowerment, not revenge," she said, scribbling notes. "Your journey, the community it sparked, publishers will eat it up." I nodded, but Mom's plea and Ethan's text gnawed at me. Was I betraying them, or just refusing to stay small? The wave inside me surged, stronger now, carrying the weight of Lisa's email, the women in my comments, the chance to turn pain into purpose. But as I hung up with Sarah, my phone pinged again. A new email, this one from a morning show producer, hinting at a segment on solo travel. The current was moving faster, pulling me towards something huge. Would my family try to drag me back? Or was this the point of no return? Inspired by Harper's journey. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. The morning show producer's email still glowed on my laptop screen, a surreal follow-up to the book deal I'd just sealed with Sarah, my literary agent. Ethan's accusing text, "Profiting off our family drama?" and Mom's panicked voicemail about the book making them look terrible lingered like a bitter aftertaste. But Lisa's email from the surf class, cheering my viral wave, kept me afloat. I sat on my Atlanta couch, the familiar creak grounding me as the city skyline sparkled beyond the blinds. The wave I'd caught in Miami wasn't just carrying me now. It was lifting others, a current of women who'd been sidelined, like me. But the weight of family tension pressed down, and I wondered if this new path, a book, a morning show, would pull me too far from shore. Then another email landed, an invite to speak at a women's conference in Chicago, titled Solo Journeys, Owning Your Narrative. My heart raced. A stage, a microphone, a chance to turn my story into something bigger. I flew to Chicago 3 weeks later, nerves jangling like loose change, as I stepped into the conference center, a sleek glass building buzzing with 1,000 attendees. The air smelled of coffee and ambition, women in blazers and bright dresses mingling under chandeliers. Riley had texted me a pep talk. "You're a badass, Harper. Own that stage." Backstage, I clutched my note cards, the words blurring as I paced, my sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. Public speaking wasn't my thing. I was the quiet one, the lone officer who thrived behind a desk. But the wave motif that had carried me through Miami surged again, Now a revolution, not just survival. When the MC called my name, I stepped into the spotlight, the crowd's faces a sea of expectation. 2 months ago, I was uninvited from a family trip because I was too quiet. I started, my voice shaky, but growing steadier. My brother Ethan planned a big bash in the Florida Keys. 20 people, beach house, the works. I wasn't on the list. A murmur rippled through the audience, heads nodding. I told them about Miami, the surf lessons, the sunrise that changed everything. I caught a wave, literally and figuratively, I said, gripping the podium. Posted it online and it went viral. Not because I was loud, but because I was real. I stopped waiting for permission to shine. The crowd erupted, applause crashing over me like the ocean. I shared Lisa's story from surf class, her skydiving rebellion, and others from my Instagram comments, women who'd been excluded but found their own paths. We're not invisible, I finished. We're a tide, rising together. Afterward, women swarmed me, their stories pouring out like waves meeting the shore. A teacher from Ohio said her family skipped her for a reunion. She'd started painting again, inspired by my post. A nurse from Seattle, left out of her sister's wedding, booked a solo trip to Iceland. Their voices wrapped around me, warm and electric, like the community I'd stumbled into online, but now in the flesh. I stood there, shaking hands, hugging strangers, feeling the weight of being unseen lift. The wave I'd ridden wasn't just mine anymore. It was a movement, a purpose bigger than me. I wasn't just Harper, the overlooked sister. I was helping others find their voice, their freedom. Back at my hotel that night, the Chicago skyline glittering through the window, I collapsed onto the bed, my conference badge still pinned to my shirt. The applause still echoed in my head, but so did Ethan's text, Mom's voicemail, Dad's failed coffee shop apology. I'd stood my ground, but the loneliness stung. Freedom came at a cost. My phone pinged, pulling me from the spiral. An email from a therapist named Sarah, someone I didn't know. Harper, she wrote, I saw your Chicago talk online. Your story's resonating with my clients. Women breaking free from family roles? I'm writing a book on favoritism dynamics and would love to interview you. It could amplify your message. My breath caught. Another door opening, another swell building. But what was she proposing, and how much further could this wave carry me before it crashed? The Chicago conference was still buzzing in my head as I sat in my Atlanta apartment, the therapist Sarah's email about a book interview glowing on my laptop screen. Her words, your story's resonating with my clients, felt like a new crest in the wave I'd been riding since Miami. A wave that had carried me from an uninvited sister to a voice for women like me. The applause from 1,000 attendees echoed, but so did the ache of family tension. Mom's pleas, Ethan's accusations, Dad's failed coffee shop olive branch. I'd stood tall, but the cost of my freedom was a loneliness that clung like damp sand. My phone pinged, a text from an unknown number. Harper, it's Ethan. Can I come by? Need to talk. My heart stuttered. Ethan, here? After months of silence, his last text calling my book deal a low blow? I typed back, okay, when? His reply was instant. Now. Outside. I opened the door to find Ethan on my stoop, his usual polished look gone, hair messy, eyes shadowed, like he hadn't slept in days. The Atlanta evening was humid, the streetlights casting a soft glow on his face. Can I come in? He asked, voice low. I nodded, stepping aside, the hardwood creaking as he entered my small living room. He sat on the couch, hands clasped, avoiding my eyes. I've been in therapy, he blurted, the words heavy. Started after your post went viral. Made me think. I didn't see how much we pushed you out. The Keys trip, before that, all of it. His admission hit like a wave I hadn't braced for. Real, but incomplete. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. You didn't see? Or you didn't care? My voice was steady, but my pulse raced. Ethan flinched, rubbing his neck. I saw you as steady, like you didn't need the spotlight. I was wrong. His eyes met mine, raw, but I didn't soften. Steady? I said, the word bitter on my tongue. You mean invisible. You got the car, the college fund, the family's cheers. I got scraps and a pat on the head. I'm done waiting for you to see me as equal. The wave inside me, once a rebellion, now felt like calm resolve, a quiet strength. Ethan nodded, slow, like he was processing. I get it. I'm trying, Harper, but I'm not there yet. No apology, just a crack in his armor. I wanted to believe him, but the hurt ran too deep. When you're ready to treat me like a sister, not a shadow, I'll be here, I said, my voice firm but not cruel. He left, the door clicking shut, leaving me in silence. I sank onto the couch, the same spot where I'd learned I wasn't invited to the Keys. The wave motif had shifted again. Not just freedom, but peace, a stillness I'd carved for myself. My phone buzzed with a news alert. My parents had sold their Tampa house, moved to a small town in Georgia, their social circle shrinking after my story spread. Whispers in their community about that family who excluded their daughter had followed them, a fallout they hadn't expected. Ethan, too, was reeling. His tech firm had restructured, a polite way of saying his viral backlash made him a liability. His girlfriend, tired of the drama, had walked out, leaving him crashing at Mom and Dad's new place. Their perfect world, built on sidelining me, was crumbling. I stared at the ceiling, the Atlanta skyline twinkling beyond my blinds. Freedom tasted sweet, but it came with a sting, losing the family I'd once fought to fit into. The wave I'd caught in Miami had carried me here, to a place where my worth didn't hinge on their approval. But the loneliness lingered, a quiet undertow. Had I gone too far? Or was this just the cost of standing tall? My phone pinged again, another email from Sarah, the therapist. Harper, your story's helping my clients break free from toxic roles. Can we set a date for the book interview? Her words sparked a flicker of purpose, a reminder that my wave was lifting others. But as I typed a reply, Ethan's half-admission hung in the air. Would he ever truly see me? Or was this as close as we'd get? Ethan's half-admission lingered like salt in the air. His therapy-driven, I'm trying, not enough to bridge the gap between us. I sat in my Atlanta apartment, the therapist Sarah's email about a book interview glowing on my laptop, a reminder that my wave was still lifting others, even as my family's fallout. Mom and Dad's move, Ethan's job loss, his breakup, cast a shadow. The wave I'd caught in Miami, once a rebellion, now felt like quiet strength, a piece I'd carved without their approval. But the loneliness stung, a reminder of the cost. I replied to Sarah, locking in the interview, my fingers steady despite the ache. My story wasn't just mine anymore. It was a tide, carrying women like me. A week later, a new email landed. My book, Uninvited Waves, was ready to launch. My heart raced. This was the crest I'd been building toward. The launch party was in a sleek Atlanta bookstore, its wooden shelves glowing under string lights, the air thick with the scent of new pages and coffee. I wore a navy dress, my hair loose, feeling more like the woman who'd surfed South Beach than the loan officer I'd been. Riley was there, snapping photos, her grin wide as she toasted me with a plastic cup of wine. "Look at you, bestseller in the making," she teased. The room buzzed with readers, bloggers, and women from my Instagram comments, their stories echoing mine. Exclusions, rebellions, victories. My book hit the bestseller list that morning, the news breaking just as the party started. Cheers erupted when I announced it, the sound crashing over me like the Atlantic. A woman in her 40s hugged me, tears in her eyes. "Your book got me to leave a toxic family chat," she said. "I'm planning a solo trip to Greece." My chest swelled, the wave now a current connecting us all. Lisa, from the Miami surf class, walked in, her silver-streaked hair catching the light. "Couldn't miss this," she said, pulling me into a hug. "Your post pushed me to Costa Rica last month. Now this book? You're changing lives, Harper." We talked over cupcakes, her story of hiking the Smokies and now surfing abroad weaving into mine. She'd joined my online community, Waves Unbound, a forum I'd launched for women sidelined by family or friends. It had grown to 10,000 members in weeks, a digital beach where women shared trips, art, stories of breaking free. Lisa moderated a thread, her energy a spark that kept it thriving. Standing there, surrounded by readers and Lisa's familiar smile, I felt the wave shift, from personal triumph to a legacy, a tide lifting others. But the high came with a shadow. Days before the launch, Mom had emailed, her tone sharp. "We're considering legal action if your book slanders us." I'd shown it to Sarah, my agent, who laughed it off. "They've got no case. Your story's true, and it's yours." The threat fizzled, their lawyer backing off after a quick call, but it stung. Their attempt to silence me only proved my point. They'd never seen me as equal. The reversal was bitter but empowering. My truth had won. Their bluster just noise against my wave. I didn't respond, letting their failure speak for itself. Post-launch, opportunities flooded in. A travel brand offered a sponsorship deal, $50,000 to promote their solo retreats, enough to stabilize my finances after years of scraping by. I signed it, my banker brain thrilled at the security. Riley and I started planning a Miami trip for next summer, this time pure fun. No rebellion needed. We'd surf, eat empanadas, maybe drag Lisa along. I stood in my apartment, the skyline twinkling beyond the blinds, and opened my laptop to check the community forum. New posts rolled in. A woman in Texas booking her first solo hike. Another in Maine starting a blog. The wave wasn't just carrying me now. It was a movement, spreading hope. I sank onto my couch, the same one where I'd learned I wasn't invited to the Keys. Back then, I'd been invisible, a ripple lost in Ethan's shadow. Now, I was a beacon, my story in bookstores, my voice amplified. The wave motif had evolved, from rebellion to peace, now to legacy, a tide that lifted others as it lifted me. But the ache of family lingered, a quiet undertow. I didn't need their approval anymore, but the silence hurt. As I scrolled the forum, a new message popped up, a TV producer pitching a documentary on Uninvited Waves. My heart skipped. The tide was still rising, but where would it take me next? If Harper's story moved you, like, comment, share, then subscribe and watch the next story on our channel.